What's going on YouTube? JT Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic reviews. And in this video, we're talking about Batman and Robin, issue number 17, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Javi Fernandez. And this is chapter 4 of this whole Memento storyline since PKJ took over the book. And I'm really digging what he's doing. Like, I mean, I had faith that he would, like, deliver, but he's really delivering something really good here. It feels very different from what we were getting under Williamson, but in some ways, like, a lot better, I would say. At least in terms of the Batman Robin thing, because like the previous run definitely had that shonen, shoujo, like manga, like influence going on with their slice of life type elements. This thing, okay, we got to get something a little bit gritty, a little bit more serious, but really kind of digging into inner turmoils of the characters, but in some interesting ways too. So we kind of flash back earlier in Bruce's life, back when he was working in London under this professor. We see Lautrec right there, who's the Scotland Yard detective who comes to investigate the Memento stuff, because she showed up kind of right when this stuff was happening, and they both have ties to it in some capacity. We haven't been given the full context of everything just yet, but we see that Bruce was trying to track down Memento, but again, he was going under this alias named Jack, and he was telling her all these different stories, and she knows that like everything he's saying is a complete total lie, because she's like him, she's a detective, she figures things out, she's really smart, and Bruce kind of like knows that like she's really smart. So they go in, they see Professor what's his name? Bly. I'm sorry. Terrible at remembering names half the times. So they go to like kind of chase after him because they know Memento's there, and that's kind of ends the flashback portion right there. It picks up again later on in the issue. We also have the stuff going on at Arkham where the Gravedigger's Poppy is kind of unleashed, and Batman's feeling the serious effects of it too. And like the Memento, the way they kind of have him like orchestrated, just like some crazy horror villain, and I like that. It kind of reminds me of the Crooked Man from like the Conjuring films. Like if you took the Crooked Man and the Babadook and just kind of fused them together, that's kind of what you get with this Memento character. But I also like too that the issue showcase what Damian's been up to, because we talked about like in the prior one where he was visiting Sacred Heart Medical Hospital and volunteering there like in his spare time. He's still uncertain kind of what he wants to do. I think the guilt and kind of fear and insecurities of like what happened to that kid is really kind of playing with his mind too. Like he's volunteering at this hospital, not really looking for anything like for him, like he's not looking for any credit. He's just doing like volunteer work when he could be doing so many other things. But like I said, just that guilt's kind of weighing on him. And the girl is there. She is healing. She is recovering. But he is still unable to face her, given like what kind of happened, because he blames himself for the whole thing. And eventually, I'm sure and plus he was like mean to her like right before she got hurt. So he's just, you know, really feeling the effects. We have a nice conversation between him and Bashar. Like Damian kind of like opens up, and the thing with Bashar though is with a lot of characters like this, you know, there's going to be some shady shenanigans probably going on. So I kind of like the fact that he's just kind of talking to kind of like an everyday person, but the way Batman's investigating things, like he thinks Bashar may have connections to Ra's al Ghul and all that. So the possibility is there, but if not, I actually kind of like the idea of him just kind of opening up to kind of like not somebody outside the whole superhero thing, just kind of like the everyday like person of sorts. We see him, he feels guilty and he feels afraid over kind of what happened, and he's like, how am I supposed to, like, you have all these expectations, how am I supposed to tell him that I'm weak and afraid? I like this. Like I said, you see the insecurities, like he can't open up to his dad right now about this stuff. So I like that. Eventually he gets the signal that, you know, Batman's in distress, so he goes back out to go and rescue him, which he inevitably does. Even Crane is kind of feeling the effects of this Gravedigger's Poppy stuff, and he just thinks they're real and all that other stuff. But anyways, Batman's pretty much out of commission, but he ends up getting saved by Damian, and Bruce is kind of thinking back to moments like in his past. So we're getting more of the layers of this, you know, the mystery of its unfolding of what happened many years ago with this whole Memento case, and it's tying into his past, and you see kind of how it mirrors a little bit with what Damian's going through with certain things where you see like his father like kind of like in him, like little characteristics that even the detective Lautrec kind of picks up on. So yeah, like I said, something happened there. We're not given the full details. Bruce is pretty much out of commission for like a whole day, and Damian's just kind of talking about like, well, what are we really doing here? Like we're kind of like, is Gotham the way it is because of like how we act? Now this is something that's been brought up in, you know, countless storylines before. Would these villains exist without Batman? Does he actually kind of create them in some more kind of messed up way? And there was a great episode of Batman the Animated Series, I think it was called like Trial, where all of them go on trial and they're trying to determine that Batman's the cause of all of it, and the one person has to kind of defend him in court, and then they eventually determine that no, like, even without Batman we are still bad people. And I think Damian's kind of like thinking something along the lines of that. Like, are we really making a difference in these people's lives? Because again, all the guilt net's kind of weighing on him. But again, like, Gotham was already a corrupt cesspool well before like Batman even was a thing. I mean, you have the crime families that have kind of taken over the city. I mean, Bruce's parents were killed by a random act of violence, so it's always kind of been around. And plus, you have other heroes in that and villains in the universe. So yeah, like I said, crime and all that, it's always kind of been a thing. Batman does make a difference. But again, there's a little bit of questioning, like, are we really making as big a difference as we possibly can? So yeah, a little bit of tension going on between the two of them. Damian does kind of leave to go off and work with Gordon and Lautrec. Bruce is just like, he'll do no such thing. And he's kind of like in a not so great place. Like, he's not feeling like good. He's pretty like still feeling the effects of kind of what happened. And he even brings up the first thing I inherited from you, father, is disobedience. So there is the tension going on between them, but it's different than kind of stuff we've gotten before. Because again, they worked through so many issues beforehand, and having them like needlessly like at each other's throats for no reason would be kind of like regression. I feel like, why are we fighting again? But here it kind of makes sense in a bit of a different way. So, but Bruce being Bruce, he goes off to kind of investigate things on his own, even though he's in no real condition to do so, and even asked Barbara to kind of look up like this Dr. Bashar. So Damian arrives with Lautrec and Gordon, and she's kind of scolding like, why am I like listening to a child with all this stuff? But there's one thing that kind of clues her in and tells her everything she kind of needs to know, that this child is the son of Jack, and I say that in quotation marks because that's who he was known as like in the past. He says one thing. She's like, I'm not letting a child drive me to a crime scene. Honestly, I don't know how much Batman lives with himself regularly, walking straight into danger and asking a kid to watch his back. Someone has to. And those words echoed to something that like Bruce said like in the flashbacks too. So immediately she's like, oh, on second thought, lead the way, Robin, because she knows right then and there, oh, this has to be his kid. Like, this tells her everything she kind of needs to know, that Batman is clearly this Jack person that she knew many years ago. I don't know if she knows that he ends up really being Bruce Wayne, but just something like that she sees within Damian, like, immediately calls back to, you know, Jack when she was younger. But then we get kind of the big reveal at the end of the issue where Bruce is still in no condition to do all this stuff. He's got gang wars and everything investigating. So Oracle like issues in a favor to kind of have somebody else go tag along with him, and it's none other than Jason Todd, Red Hood. So finally Jason is going to be in a book that actually treats the characters respectfully and interacting with Batman in an interesting way. So I mean, I trust Philip Kennedy Johnson to write a good Jason Todd, because we haven't had really good Jason Todd stuff in quite a while. There was the one Zdarsky storyline in Batman Urban Legends that I quite liked a lot, but aside from that, like, Jason Todd has not been treated very well in a lot of books, like especially like one of the main Batman books. Like, when's the last like good Jason Todd storyline? Definitely not in the main Batman book by Zdarsky. I mean, that Gotham War thing was terrible. Detective Comics, can't remember him really being in that any like recent stuff for quite a while, because we had that whole Arkham thing that went on for like 3 years, and he hasn't been in the current run. So yeah, like I said, this will be the first really good Jason story line with him like integrated in a way we haven't seen in quite a while. So, and I'm curious to see how it ties back into Bruce and Damian sort of thing, because I know I read one of the solicitations that Jason and Damian are going to have like a talk about things, and I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, I'm really digging what Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing with the book right now. The artwork looks great. I like the horror elements kind of mingled in with the storyline, and I liked just kind of the tone it's going for, some of the serious moments, but also exploring some of the characters' insecurities, seeing how Bruce and Damian are very much alike in certain ways. I also like too that this Lautrec character, who's kind of the Scotland Yard detective, is clearly like a lot smarter than a lot of other people. Like, she picks up on things like that one line from Damian, because somebody has to, that lets her know, oh, this has got to be his son. Like, this is where I connect to it. And she's like, okay, let me see where this goes. So I like that. I like that aspect. I like kind of the look of this Memento villain with the horror elements kind of mixed in there, and kind of similar to Scarecrow, but like clearly somebody who even Scarecrow is afraid of. So like when you have a villain who like kind of goes even above and beyond that, but also kind of has like this old like horror film type vibe to it, I think he got something going for it. But yeah, like I said, if you like Bruce and Damian, I think this series is exploring things pretty well in that regards. There's definitely some knit and grit to it. There's some angst in there too, but there's also like real like inner turmoil like being showcased here, like that I'm liking seeing explored in different ways. But yeah. All right, well, I feel like I've rambled on long enough. Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all that other fun stuff. I got 2 more DC comic reviews. I'm going to try and get out maybe today, if not tomorrow. But yeah, so there's DC versus Vampires and Absolute Batman #4. And then, yeah, we should be pretty good. But anyways, that's all I have to say. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.